Thank you, Amaji, for very nice opening remarks and statements. Sushilji, thank you for the opportunity to speak at this event. I'm basically going to elaborate a little bit more in detail, basically where Amaji left off, on how technology has changed in the film industry over the last 65 years and what to expect in the next 10 years. Just before we start, it's important to understand what the value chain of the industry is, and what I will do is I will explain how all the four value chains, so rather production, post-production and consumption trends have changed in the past 65 years and how it's going to influence the industry and what opportunities are there for us in India to take advantage of. So just a little timeline. 1880s or 1920s, the kinetoscope was introduced. So that basically means films inside where you put your eye inside and you roll the lever and you get to see motion in images passing. That's what was motion picture initially.
Bioscope was the next version.
Yeah, that's Then there was obviously the Gulf Between was the first film that used Technicolor. That was the first type of color that was used in feature film. And then they had synchronized music score that came in from another movie called The Viking. 3 Technicolor was the new technology that was launched later in the 1930s, and Walt Disney released their first film in 3 Technicolor. And one of the first films to be shot entirely on location was by Paramount Studios in the 1930s. Kodak Eastman was launched in the 1940s and 70s. And at that time in Hollywood, TV was becoming big and people were preferring to watch content on TV, and Hollywood was combating that issue at that time in the US industry. 1980s and 90s, special effects became an integral part of filmmaking, and as my icons clearly suggest, Jurassic Park and Batman were the first 2 major Hollywood blockbusters of the era that used a lot of special effects. And even if you watch Jurassic Park now, in fact it comes on Star Movies once every 2 days, you will still not realize that a film produced and released in 92 had that kind of robotics. It still doesn't look as fake as you think it would look 20 years down the line. So, and now in the 1990s and 2000s, visual effects, special effects is very integral. You look at The Life of Pi. I was actually fortunate in Los Angeles 2 years ago. I met Mr. Hughes from Rhythm and Hughes, the guy who was responsible to execute Life of Pi. And the entire film, I'm sure people have seen the film, the entire film was shot inside a studio in a big tank of water and a boat. There was no ocean, there was nothing. Everything was created in animation and special effects. So there is a making of the film which you must see, and that will really outline or highlight how technology has improved in the last 40, 50 years and what you can really create out of that technology. An Oscar-winning film which has won multiple Oscars last year. And yes, demand for 3D content. 3D's become big. The IMAX experience has become big. There's a lot of new IMAX cinemas in India now. A lot of content that is being shot on the IMAX camera or just shot on regular cameras and then it's been digitized and made better into IMAX technology. Internet has developed. I'll be speaking a little bit more about it later. And Netflix in the US, now they've got about 10 million subscribers worldwide and over 100,000 titles of DVD that you can watch online. So no need to buy DVD and clutter up your den in your house. Motion capture technology was introduced late in the 2000s. It was an integral part of the Avatar film. So if you notice, each of the actors, they were actually actors, they had points all over their body, and that was when they were, so if there was an action of a guy, hitting somebody with a tree branch or with the knife or whatever, the movement was captured by a 3D software, and it was then generated as an animated character on the screen, what you saw in Avatar. So that was some incredible technology, and Avatar was the first film that really proved that motion capture is next generation technology, whether it's to produce games, or it is to produce film, or even TV commercials. That's the way to go in the future. The film camera was getting replaced by the digital camera. Nobody wanted to spend money on a Kodak film stock anymore, and mostly because everything was turning digital. If a director shot a film on set, he was not able to make any changes to the edit because it was on film. He would have to go back to the studio, get it digitized, and then he would notice, "Arey, maine yahan par galti kar di, mujhe wahan par shoot karna padega." And in today's day and age, the artists don't have any time. Everybody wants to get done with, and as soon as possible. Everyone is very impatient now. So just some more stats. 40% of the world's population is now on the internet. Netflix now has about 10 million subscribers. Netflix has basically taken over the US. Hardly anybody wants to watch TV shows or films live. They rather just record it on Netflix and watch it later once they're back home from work. And obviously rise of YouTube and other platforms where people are sharing content and people are viewing content at a click of a button. So this is a little timeline. Quickly, the evolution of production before and after. We used to have bulky film cameras before, very hard to mount, very hard to operate. Now you've got compact digital cameras. Film was used as the media to capture content. Now everything comes in a small pen drive. You had heavy heat generating equipment. In the earlier days, you had halogen lights, you had big cranes.
Arc lights.
Yeah, I'm actually going to mention arc light also. Yeah. Arc lights were one of the new technologies that time, but very, very heavy intensive. And now you've got Pro LED, and now you have drones that you can attach a camera to, and they can just take shots from any angle, whether it's from top down, from the side. So it's some incredible technology that's available in the market now, and filmmakers are now slowly realizing the importance of new technology, and they're using it to produce films in a different light. And the last point, obviously, directors could never analyze what they had shot because they were shooting on film. And now, because of the digital technology, you have professional monitors on set. After every shot, the director can sit down and analyze where he's gone wrong, or is that shot okay to proceed. So, post-production was one of famous studios' pioneer introductions for the Indian market in 1988. And at that time, we had introduced a processing laboratory. Because without a processing laboratory, you could not release a film into the cinema, plain and simple. So they were mandatory in the earlier days. Now you've got digital storage technology, so processing laboratories are not existent anymore. Editing machines were very bulky at the time, and you had independent machines to execute different bits of post-production, whether it's editing, special effects, sound. Now, one system can multitask every single job that needs to be done for post-production. You used to have regular Dolby DTS sound before, and now you've got Dolby Atmos, which you can install at home. And Dolby Atmos has got more than 13 channels of sound. And this is, it's an incredible technology. And I think there's only few cinemas in India that have introduced Dolby Atmos. It's something that everyone must go and experience. It is unbelievable. Consumption obviously has changed from the black and white TV to the curved LED TV. We used to have single screen cinemas earlier. Now you've got multiplex theaters and evolution of 3D and the IMAX experience. We had old bulky film projectors. Actually, we still have two now and famous right now where we have to mount the film on, and it's very hard to get spare parts, etc. And now you have the digital projection system, and you can basically play your content direct from space. You don't need negatives, you don't need space to stock anything. VCR tapes, DVDs were popular then, and now you have the cloud. As Amitji's also mentioned, you can stream anything off the cloud, whether it's on Netflix, whether it's on YouTube, nothing is stored, everything is on the cloud. So just to wrap it up, I think it's very important to understand new technology, what opportunities are available for filmmakers and in general for individuals to use the technology the right way. So as I said, the internet has completely changed the way people are consuming content. You have better bandwidth, so now in the last few years, every single channel is trying to go HD or has gone high def. It is completely changing the experience for the final consumer who's watching television, better picture, better clarity. Production technology is now very cheap. A professional digital film camera now costs as less as 2.5–3 lakh rupees. So you don't need to have very high budgets to produce content anymore. So it's a very good time for anybody who has an art background, who has a script. If they want to produce content, it's the right time, or it is a huge opportunity for people to go out there, shoot, create, and produce meaningful content to release out in the market. It's not for the big. It's not only for the big boys anymore. It's a level playing field. There's a huge. India is lacking in skilled labor for the media industry, and we're facing it every day. We have about 100 people working in our visual effects team on multiple projects, and whenever we have a graduate design student who comes in for a job, 90% of the times we cannot employ him because he's just not employable because of the current state or the current education that's offered to him in 3D or 2D animation. So there's a huge opportunity to enter the space and basically open institute or tie up with the government to open centers to train young professionals in art, in visual communication, in visual design, and also in turn in film education. Because of India's huge number of films that we produce every year, there's definitely room for improvement for this part of the industry. There's still a lot of red tape in terms of, if somebody wants to shoot in India, there's too many permissions that are required, and India has some of the most exotic locations that anywhere in the world. And it's very important that the government understands this opportunity and they remove a lot of the permissions that are required to shoot and promote India as a filmmaking destination, and in turn it would become a preferred tourist destination for people from outside of the country coming in as well. In terms of consumption, again, smartphones, tablets, almost every middle-class family can now afford cutting-edge technology. You have 3G now, 4G and 5G will be coming in soon. You've got faster bandwidth. It's going to change the way people are going to view content online. New softwares, new apps available online, and at a time now when it's accessible, people should generate content, you should share something that's meaningful to you. And yes, in terms of online streaming, every channel has an online streaming platform now. So if you see starsports.com, a lot of people who are on the move, they can just watch the ISL, or they can watch the Cricket World Cup or the IPL on the move. So it's a huge opportunity to even stream your content online. That's one of the... So now, I just wanted to share a couple of slides. So this is one of the films that we recently did visual effects on. It's called Goinar Baksho. It was a film directed by Aparna Sen, and her daughter was acting in the film. So as you see in the first frame before is basically how they actually shot the film. The entire background was a blue screen, and with new technology, with the talent that we have, we've recreated that entire shot into something very realistic. So this is how we're now using technology, and we've been doing this for the last 10-15 years. So if you look at the frame below, that entire house, or I would say the palace, has been designed in 3D, and we have actually cut out the blue cloth at the back, and we have composited this shot to make it look really realistic. So in conclusion, it's very important as individuals that we must decide how we want to use new media technology. We should use it as a tool for social change. We should produce content as it is a level playing field now. And we should exploit new media technology to generate new avenues of business in education, tourism, and travel. And at the end, I think we should make an impact, we should bridge the gap, and we should inspire. Just a brief history of the studio. We were established in 1945. It's a family-owned company, and we pioneered in introducing technology throughout our history. In the last 65 years, we've seen how the industry has changed from Eastman color to film camera to processing laboratory, and now to the digital age. And we have moved on with the time, and we have seen that change impact the industry over the last 65 years. We produced Sanam, Mela, and Jaan Pehchan with Nargis, Devanand, and Dilip Kumar. One of the first studios to introduce the Mitchell camera in the 1950s with Fali Mistry, who was a very renowned DOP at the time. We had set up one of India's first film processing laboratories and introduced arc lighting technology. In post-production, we were the pioneers, which we introduced in 1980s with editing. sound recording, color grading, and DVD authoring. One of India's first studios to invest in the world-renowned Christie projection system. And we introduced the award-winning Famous House of Animation in 1998, one of India's first animation studios that focused on 2D, 3D, and stop-motion animation. We now operate out of 5 locations in India, and we employ over 250 creative professionals. This is a shot from 1948, and it's now part of National Geographic. So thank you very much for listening.